Hello everyone, welcome to the next installment of Oldham Word. So before we get into this video's topic, I just want to clarify that I'm now using a tripod. I'm using a Canon camera as well, and my Zoom H1 microphone, so hopefully the video quality should be quite good. Apologies if the focus isn't quite there yet. It's just me out here, so I can't manually focus. Still getting used to that. I'm not as tech savvy as I'd like to be, I suppose. So I came out here yesterday, recorded a video on dogs. It went well. I was pretty happy with it. However, I did miss a few things, and I'd like to sort of remedy that. So I think this will really be the first video in the Oldham Word series proper. I've always been interested in for my plan for the channel is to make concrete videos on distinct topics. And obviously I've been doing my nature vlogs, been doing my nature videos, giving you updates about the sort of things I'm doing. However, I think this will be the first real video where I'm just going to talk about a particular topic. So dogs. This is one of the ones I wanted to discuss for quite a while. I think it's a nice simple one to start off with. And when I think of dogs, I think of authenticity. And that's one of the cornerstones of Oldham Word. I'd like to have videos that are on distinct topics that feel genuine. And I don't really want to plan these out, if I'm being honest. I do have some notes just in case I need them, but if I want to look at that snag over there, that old dead tree, if I want to look at that birch or that beech or whatever it may be, I just want to be I want a thought to be incited, and I don't want it to be as sterile. I don't want it to be overly planned or laid out. I just want to sort of be out here in nature and just sort of pontificate on things, whatever it might be. So, dogs, authenticity. When I think of authenticity, I think of relationships like Call of the Wild, for example. We'll be talking about literature, we'll be talking about art as well, we'll be talking about philosophy when it comes to dogs, of course. And Call of the Wild is one of my favourite books. It's about a Saint Bernard called Buck. It's this stirring narrative where Buck is taken from a sort of domestic situation. He's very much a pampered dog. He's a Saint Bernard, but he's very much pampered in his loving household, and he is actually captured and taken away. And the ferine strain, as I think it's in an epilogue, the ferine strain sort of awakens in Buck, and he goes on all these adventures, very harsh and quite brutal at times. And then he eventually meets a man, a woodsman, a wilderness sort of, an outdoorsman. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. However, I think he was a sort of a role model for me. There are the various role models, and I think, for example, the man who planted trees, if you'll be aware of that from the review, is one of them. Another one would be, as I say, this man who meets Buck on his adventures, who's the first man to show him respect, really, and to sort of appreciate him as a dog, and it's sort of that brotherly connection between a man and animal, or non-human animal. So that was Jack London's Call of the Wild. Now there's actually another book, you might not be aware of this, White Fang. Can't quite remember if London wrote White Fang before or after Call of the Wild, but White Fang runs sort of counter to the Call of the Wild narrative. It's very much a similar book. However, it's more there's a robin just perched on the branch there. White Fang runs counter to Call of the Wild in that White Fang, the wolf, goes from a sort of wild state to a more domesticated state. I don't remember that one as much. I definitely enjoyed it, but I think Call of the Wild is really the standout for those two animal dog narratives. Sirius as well. Sirius, sci-fi book, of course. There's a lot of animal narratives, things like Aesop's fables, and of course I'm reading the Jungle Book as well. I'm more aware of my sort of connection with animals and nature, and obviously as I've been doing these videos, Oldham Word, just contemplating nature, obviously doing my essay on natural aesthetics and virtual worlds and all that sort of stuff. I'm even trying to write an essay in a minute on sci-fi and why we should remember nature and natural motifs in architecture and whatnot. So just I feel like I had slipped away from nature and sort of not caring, I've always cared for animals, but just due to a variety of complex beliefs, I seem to have slipped away from the sort of non-anthropocentrism that I used to sort of cultivate, if that makes any sense. And just as I've been coming out here a lot over the past maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, just really remembered nature and animals and just the sense of being connected to animals. Another book as well would be on my shelf that I really enjoyed. I might actually do a review for this at some point. Dogs and Art. Now I can't remember the author, but I'm very much interested in dogs and all their sort of facets and characteristics, and especially art as well. I have tried to do. I studied anatomy for a little while, just as a hobby, just for art. Drew some dogs, their sort of skeletons, their muscle structure and whatnot. So that book featured a variety of dogs in all different styles, from sort of modernist styles to more classical works, like one of my favourite artists, actually one of my favourite painters, Edwin Landseer. And yeah, I just love looking for that book. So as I speak, I'm realising that I do have quite a few connections with dogs. Just dogs in literature. I love reading about dogs. Um, Dogs in art, of course, drawing dogs. Dogs in philosophy, and we'll get into dogs in philosophy in a second, but I don't want to neglect the fact that just 2 days ago I actually went out to do a working interview, as it's called, for a dog-related job. Now, it's not the most glamorous job in the world, and it's certainly in a sense, I guess it would be a step down from my previous jobs in consultancy, for ecological consultancy, that is. However, I went for a working interview, as I say, for kennel hand. Now, this was a kind of a wonderful experience. It was obviously, on one hand, you could call it free labour, but in a sense, it was nice to just go out and meet maybe 40, 50 dogs in a day. So this was at a place about 40 minutes drive from where I live. I just felt like going along and just seeing if it was something that I wanted to do. And I think the job is quite simple. It's just cleaning out kennels and taking the dogs a walk and feeding them and whatnot. But just really makes the heart sore just to see German Shepherds, and there was actually a Saint Bernard there as well. There was police dogs, there was collies, all sorts of dogs, from the smallest dogs to the largest, really. I can definitely see myself doing a job like that. I've been interested in working more hands-on with animals, I think, as opposed to driving around the country doing bat surveys and writing reports. Doing other surveys as well, of course, but the bat surveys was the main one. Yeah, I think I'm hoping I get that job, actually. However, there is one negative to that, which would be this place is not. The dogs aren't there to be picked up for adoption, thankfully. So they're not homeless, as it were. They don't have their forever homes, as it's usually called. It is unfortunate to see them in these cages, though. So that's. I was cleaning out the cages just by myself, just left alone for a little bit, sort of independent working session, and I just could not help say hello to the dogs. So I guess I'd have to get used to that. Just trying to make their life as good as possible. That's one of the things I actually want to get a job for, actually. It's not working for people, it's working for the dogs, essentially. It's a real sort of intrinsic motivating factor. So I think we'll talk about Diogenes now. Diogenes the Cynic, the Cynic school of philosophy. Interestingly, I don't believe I've covered this on my as part of my review channel for Odomword, my review playlist. I've done, of course, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, but not Diogenes the Cynic. Diogenes is a complicated figure for me. Some of you may be aware that I have a canvas painting by Jerome. It shows Diogenes in his jar with his dog, surrounded by his dogs. People are going past in the light, in the civilization, and he is sitting there in the dark, in the squalor, in his jar, again surrounded by his dogs. I feel like that's quite indicative or evocative of a few things for me, really. I feel it's interesting. I feel like Diogenes. I discovered Diogenes actually after my main period of being immersed in nature. So I think really for me, nature, my crafts, my camping, my wilderness skills, volunteering at Butts Ancient Farm, of course my countryside management diploma and then degree in wildlife ecology. All of that stuff was actually before I really discovered Diogenes. I think I discovered Diogenes in maybe 2018 or 2019. Um, so it's interesting. I feel like I really would have been more connected with Diogenes in that previous period. However, again, as I say, I remember discovering Diogenes when I was working at part of the HS2 project doing a Great Crested Newt surveys. That was part of my job. I was out there on the construction site, um, surveying for Great Crested Newts and other amphibians and reptiles. And I remember discovering Diogenes around that time. And then really, as I say, in the past maybe year or so, I seem to have slipped away from nature for a variety of sort of complex reasons. Even my non-anthropocentrism sort of slipped away as well, and I felt like I wasn't too attached to Diogenes. I still have the painting there, the canvas painting, and I still appreciate some aspects of Diogenes. But I felt like if I'm being honest, I felt I didn't want to really partake in this idea that we are just animals and we will just decay, and we should have no pretensions to something higher. That's really the main thing, if I'm being honest. And so I fell away from Diogenes a little bit. But now, as I say, as I've come back to nature, I'm more, I guess, in touch with the Cynic school of philosophy. The idea really is to, again, have as little pretension as possible, to be in touch with your sort of animal instincts. And of course, the Cynic school of philosophy is, the root word is, I believe it's kainos, which is dog in Greek. That's where he gets his name, Diogenes the dog. It's just this idea of, again, being in touch with your animal self, with your essential animality, if that's a word. I guess the idea of cynicism is just really, again, it's shunning pretension. It's being in touch with your animal self. It's a very Spartan lifestyle, of course. There's a few, obviously, it has a lot of roots with Stoicism. Of course, I believe Stoicism was before. It came after Cynicism. So those two are connected. It's similar. It's just that I think the thing about Cynicism is that it doesn't have any metaphysical worldview. It doesn't have any grand concept or tenets. It's really just being. It's not thinking, really. It's just being purely animal. So that's Diogenes and his relationship with dogs, and it's another facet of dogs there. So the last thing I will talk about in regards to dogs, aside from, of course, my two dogs, which I have to talk about in a video about dogs, it's this idea of dogs as sort of symbols of, they're the symbol of man, the connection of man with nature and man with animals, but they're also, they are, in a sense, they're very friendly. They're aspirational in a sense. Me and my brother Ryan, who you will have seen on 2 videos by now on the Olden Word channel, we include dogs in a lot of stories, especially for our Sartoris fantasy world building project. It's just they are adventurous. They are aspirational. They are of course pleasing to look at. We almost venerate them in a way, because they are just animals, and you don't want to think of them. There are drawbacks to venerating them, and of course there are drawbacks to sort of venerating them too highly and anthropomorphizing them in any way. But they are to be respected, I think, and valued for what they are. I think the last thing I'll really talk about, of course, is my 2 dogs. Now, it's interesting being out here in nature and out in the woods and really beginning Olden Word. It's kind of difficult to talk about my first dog, Samwise. He, of course, named after Sam the Loyal, Samwise Gamgee of Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's works. Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. We had him from 2012 to, I believe it was March 2020. For us, it was really our first dog, of course, and if we could go back, we'd do a lot of things differently. I think we weren't quite. We were just figuring things out. So we loved him entirely, of course, but his quality of life could have been better in regards to especially when we first got him, in regard to his bedding and his arrangements. With his food and with walks and whatnot. Um, of course, he lived for a decent while. He had heart problems. He passed away from sort of heart problems. Um, and we again, as I say, we loved him entirely, and we really, he was more like a little baby actually. He wasn't one of those rough and ready outdoor dogs. He was very much a domestic house breed, very lovable, didn't bark at all. Um, but yeah, I think we could have just done a little bit better uh, in a few ways. So when Sam passed, there was a time period about a year or so before we realised we had to get another dog, and that's Toby, the Maltipom. So again, it's technically not my dog this time. Another sort of house breed. If I had my way, I would probably get an Alsatian or something like that. Sort of medium-sized dog. Again, one of those rough and ready dogs that can just jump in the car and go out into the woods and whatnot. But Toby's great. He's a very friendly dog. We seem to get the friendliest dogs. So of course there are endless things really to mention about dogs. We've talked about dogs in literature, dogs in art, dogs in philosophy, dogs in writing. My own two dogs. I think we'll leave it there for now, though. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I certainly did. I'm very much enjoying coming out here, just talking about things that I respect and value and appreciate. So, this has been Taylor. This has been Oldham Word. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time.